Yeah, let's throw it over to the main stage. They're going to be ready to go in just a couple of seconds here, and stay tuned for more from Professor Broman, Loco, Rocket Bear, Darkness, and my name is Mike.
All right, we're doing it. Slowly, as that glorious Canadian man smiles in the camera. Nice crowd shot. What's up, crowd shot? That's you, right there, over there. Hello, camera. Hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome. This is the Evolution of Content Creation panel. Content creation as a field has been around for a long time. Everyone always creating things, but recently, with the advent of things like YouTube and all the different streaming platforms that exist, it's become very decentralized, and so things have changed a lot. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's changed since we've started and where we think the industry is going. We have a lot of different representatives here. I am Professor Broman. I stream on Twitch. We're going to go down and everyone's going to introduce themselves, where they make content, and then we'll get going.
All right, I guess I'll start. What's up, guys? I'm Loco. I'm a full-time variety caster on Twitch. And I'm also owner of a site called Streamer Square, which focuses on providing guides, news, and resources for streamers.
Yeah, right, awesome. Super awesome.
Hey guys, Rocket Bear, I stream on Mixer. Basically, I am a full-time variety broadcaster there, and I'm also an employee at Mixer too, so it's really great to be here.
It's still on? Nice.
Hey guys, I'm Tim, also known as Darkness429. I stream on Facebook, so that's where I'm at, Facebook Gaming. I've been streaming for like 4 years now, so I'm full-time.
Hi guys, my name is Mike. I am the Token Britain panel, and I also am the Token YouTuber, so I'm the only person here who doesn't stream. So yeah, enjoy that. I've been doing YouTube for about 7 years now, and 5 of those have been professionals, so yeah.
That's awesome. That's, okay, so I actually, since I believe that means Fife is the most veteran of all of us for making content, 7 years.
Shut up. You've done this for long.
I started I'm about 6. I'm only 6 years old, I'm bald, I still haven't grown my hair out. It's hard for me to say words. No, so you've been making content on YouTube, which is different than a lot of the streaming platforms. This is going to sound like, well, of course. But you make pre-produced content. How has YouTube changed on produced content from when you started to right now? Like, what are like the biggest changes you've experienced?
Well, clickbait has started to change its timescale from 2 minutes to 10 minutes, I'd say that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's much less clickbait now, and a lot more of it is informative, a lot more of it is properly produced, higher quality, and I think YouTube has helped push that in a few regards. They've also helped with the monetization structure on that particular front, so that really helps if you're trying to be a professional. But yeah, I mean, the other thing I'd say is the diversity of voices that you get as well. Like, there are so many people back in the day that used to be sort of like sitting there and just coasting along doing whatever, but now you have everyone who's specialized. And that's people from, say, our corner of the internet where we talk about video games and whatnot, all the way up to things like Vice News, which are now like hyper-focused news stories from like professional editors and reporters, etc. So like, YouTube has become this melting pot of professional sources of information, and it's awesome. It's so good.
Yeah, so you made mention of one thing that I think is really interesting, and you mentioned that everything's changing on YouTube from 2 minutes to 10 minutes as a focus. Why is that? Like, what has changed recently with YouTube that's driven that change in focus for all content creators?
So it's 2 things. First of all, there's these wonderful things called mid-roll ads that mean that you get to do your job.
You do this for money?
I do.
Unbelievable.
Wait, you mean you don't do this for money? Someone find Cosmo, I need to talk to Bungie about my check that is clearly in the mail. But yeah, no, for real. 10 minutes means that mid-roll ads are a thing, and that means that it's way, way easier to make a job out of YouTube, for example. And this is not at all a planned shout-out, but one of my favorite YouTube channels to watch in my spare time is a guy called Turin. He covers a game called Total War Warhammer 2. He only has like 30,000 subscribers, gets 10,000 views a video. He's able to make this full-time job because of mid-roll ads. So like, it enables content creation on a professional level with, relatively speaking, small view counts in the
much less than when it started, when you need millions.
Yeah, exactly.
When I remember the first time I ever made a YouTube video, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. It's got like 300,000 views, and I was like, oh, that's not enough. like, how does someone do this professionally? So that's really awesome to hear. So something that came along after YouTube, which is a big reason why all of us are here and why you're watching at home, is live streaming. The advent of live streaming has really sort of changed the space when it comes to gaming content creation, and everyone up here except Life, what a loser, is someone who does live streaming as a living. So I would love for each one of you to talk about what got you started in live streaming, and what inspired you, how long you've been doing it, and what you've seen change. And we'll start with Loco.
Yeah, sure. Test? Okay. So I've been streaming for just over 4 years now. The main reason I got into it is I became an avid viewer before I started streaming. So I spent pretty much all my free time modding channels and chatting and being a viewer. And I fell in love with the community, the ability to interact with people, and I started to make friends online, and they wanted to see me play games. So that's kind of what got me into it, and that's pretty much why I do it now, for the community and the ability to interact live.
I think that's one of the most powerful aspects of any live streaming platform is it's like watching your favorite TV show, but your TV show talks back to you. Like, I couldn't imagine like growing up and like watching SpongeBob, and then like he just turns to the camera and he's like, "How you doing, Ben? Thanks for hanging out today." And you're like, "SpongeBob, how did you do that?" And now there's people that use FaceRig, and they're actually like talking corgis and like all plethora of animals that live stream. So you said the community draws you in. What do you feel like about live streaming as a platform? It's like raining inside. As a platform, it feels like drives that community engagement so differently than other places like maybe we'll say YouTube or Twitter or Instagram, things like that.
I mean, I think it's kind of what you mentioned, the real-time aspect, the like instant response, being able to share an experience and see the reaction from chat as you're doing it. I think it's incredibly powerful, and it's addicting, like both for the streamer and the viewers.
That is the most honest thing I've ever. It's addicting, right? Like when I got started streaming, I was like, I can't stop. Like I wanted to do it all day, all time, all day, every day, all the times. All of them, because I just like that interaction, that feedback loop of building a community feels so incredibly good. All right, so we're gonna get next to Rocket Bear here. He's a representative from Mixer. So now Mixer wasn't always known as Mixer. What was it known as first?
Correct. That's true. So prior to Mixer, prior to Microsoft, it was known as Beam, and that was actually when I got started back in the Beam days, back prior to the.
As a streamer or as an employee? Because you mentioned earlier you were.
So as a streamer, I got started back on Twitch prior to that.
Okay.
So I've been streaming probably for a total of 5.5 years ish, right around there. And the reason why I got into it specifically was to recreate my experiences as a kid. I remember growing up in the neighborhood, just going to a friend's house and playing some games on their Super Nintendo. Whoever rented, we were rich enough to actually have the console. Whoever rented the console from Blockbuster, right? So we'd rent the console, go over to someone's house, go play games, and then hopefully next weekend someone also got to rent a console, so we'd go hang out at their house, right? So we'd hang out, we'd play the games, we'd pass the controller around. It wasn't multiplayer at all, it was all single player games. So we got into this like mode of passing the controller around, taking turns, having fun, and enjoying those memorable experiences. Have the Saturday morning cartoons on over here, watching freaking X-Men while we're playing, Super Mario over on this side. And it was just a grand old time creating those wonderful memories. I got into streaming because I wanted to recreate those experiences with other people, to be able to engage with them and have those cool experiences, but to like have that Saturday morning playing games again with all my friends. Basically so I can just grow up to be a man-child and continue this era of not growing up.
I thought that was Ben's job.
That is absolutely my job. That is absolutely my job. And so finally we have Tim down here, Darkness429, and he streams on Facebook Gaming, which is one of the newest platforms to come into the live streaming space.
Right.
So talk about what sets it apart, what makes it different, like why should somebody be interested in streaming on Facebook as opposed to any of these other platforms?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been a lot of fun being able to naturally build a community. Like Facebook has these tools that have really just facilitated the ability to build a community within the page, like where my streams live.
Yeah.
I don't really think you can find that on any other platform where you have all these tool sets that allow you to just facilitate this community building, like all this growing that's just right there. It's either within the comment section or it's within the group. I've seen so much more interaction with my viewers and just fans within just the page than I ever was just living within chat, like it was on other platforms.
One of the things I'm always curious about is Facebook is like an always-on platform. One of the things that if you're making, and I guess this is the same with YouTube, right? You can create a piece of content and it's lasting.
It lives in there. It lives in that space forever. Someone
can go find a video that Bife made 7 years ago still and be like, yo, I love this. This is fantastic. I like this country sounding farmer guy. Because we know it's a fake accent, Bife.
I'll smoke me. I'm sorry. Never make me try and do that again.
Was
Do you
bad.
feel, and this is, I guess, is a question for both of you, do you feel like having sort of always present content on your page is incredible? Like, how do you utilize that to build community?
I mean, so honestly, I don't know about building community with regards to content, but I think it's also about like,
Or building your channel or building your career?
building a channel, I suppose. It's really about filling in what people really want to hear about. Like, there's always these persistent questions that I'll get with my area of stuff, which is to do with lore and story around video games. So whenever someone asks me one of those key questions, my first priority is to say, okay, a video on that gets out at some point, and that will be there forever. So I think a really great example is a few years back, maybe 3 or 4 by now, I made a video regarding Titans in Destiny. And that video started and only got 30,000 views. And I was like, for me at the time being, that was slightly below average. And I was like, that's fine. Because it slow burns and it grows. And the persistence of the content means that there is always going to be something there for people to look at. And it's a subject that people always love. So, years later, now I think it just broke 200,000 views. So it just goes to show, like, you're persistently putting stuff out there that allows people to anchor to you as a caster and as someone who creates a community. And then, of course, the nice thing about that even further is you can link it into other community sites. So, again, if I was going to go ahead and link it to, say, Facebook or Discord or my Twitter, then that feeds people in slowly. And this is another thing that helps with discoverability. So yeah, persistence in content is, at least for YouTube, it's really good.
I think for me, being on with Facebook, having the live streams or the streams that are there is a nice entry point. It's something that it might have happened a week ago. This live stream might have happened a week ago, but someone just found it today, and they are able to experience that live stream. I might be within the live experience itself. I might not be able to talk back to them. But I might be able to actually talk to people who are live in the chat. But they can see what it's about and what we're doing, and then maybe they'll follow, and then they can come in. It's not like that on other platforms, like, because it has to happen in that moment. They have to be able to turn into your channel at that moment and see it happening. If they miss out on it, then they have to come back another time.
I think, like, in general, as a live streamer, it's important to have those like still videos that you can access at any time. Because if someone can't catch you at the exact times you're streaming, then you're missing out on audience, right? So I think, like, as a live streamer, we utilize our streams, put them into video form that people can access later, and that helps grow your brand and your following as well.
One of the things when I got started, if we're going to talk about evolution, I'll talk how I grew. I have a lot of regrets. Like, it took me a year to make a Twitter profile because I was like, nobody uses Twitter. I don't need to use Twitter. Idiot. And I just made my Instagram profile. I made that like a year ago. Yay, clap for the dumb guy. I think that one of the things that people miss when they start making content is they get really hyper-focused on this one platform. And I think that it's really awesome and important to specialize. Like, if you're great at live content, obviously you need to focus on a live platform. But if you're better at produced content, focus on that. But while you're doing that, make sure that you're also doing all of the other stuff so that you're not vulnerable. I think one of the big conversations that's happening around content creation right now is income security. If you focus on covering one style of content and that content changes drastically, the community could leave, and then now you're kind of left holding the bag. And if you don't have a support structure, whether it's a podcast or a YouTube channel or an Instagram following or another place where you can kind of monetize and survive the lean time that you're going through, you end up in a really vulnerable position, and you might have the unfortunate experience of kind of like burning out of being able to do content creation as your job. And I think that that's a really important thing to talk about. So I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on that.
I think it's weird because, like, right now we're in a weird spot where we're hearing a lot about platform exclusivities and platform. You feel like you have to be dedicated to just that one platform because you feel like you owe it to that platform to be there.
Sure.
So that's something that's happening right now in the industry. Is like they're trying to, like, I feel like the word exclusivity is being thrown around a lot. And I think that's the big issue right now for content creators, is figuring out, like, what is exclusive, what should be exclusive, what should be my own that I can distribute everywhere. And I feel like a lot of platforms are trying to figure out how to handle that right now.
speaking from the Mixer side of things and how it handles over there, the neat thing about being able to monetize what you're doing in terms of partnership, there's this exclusivity, the word we're throwing around right there, there's not really any exclusivity. So you can broadcast your content there, and then of course you can broadcast your content elsewhere if you choose to do so. I think it's exciting as a content creator now, being able to share with your community and do so from a monetized aspect and not have that, I guess, fear of worrying about getting a strike somewhere or being able to put your content over on this platform because you feel it's right for you. And the way that content creation is evolving going forward, I think being forward thinking is the way to go there. And to be able to share your content on multiple platforms, great. What works for you, Facebook, Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, what works for you as a content creator is the most important thing. You've got to be true to who you are and how you share with your community and how you build your community.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think like focusing on your strengths is important. In terms of monetization, like diversifying your sources of revenue is super important because, you know, like Ben mentioned, like, you know, just streaming on its own is super volatile and it's ever changing as well. So, you know, you look to Twitch is, for example, is very good at monetization, but it's still not stable. So, you know, a lot of people do Patreon or, you know, they push content on YouTube, sponsorships, affiliateships. You know, that's, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
There's something that I think I want to make sure that we talk about, because we're talking about how things change, but I want to talk about one thing that has been consistently true based off of every conversation I've had from any content creator, and it's a word that comes up a lot, and I'd love for each of you to kind of explore the idea of what it means to create content that's authentic to who you are. I've always been taught, and I always tell people that when you make any kind of content, it has to ring true to who you are. If you love Furbies, and like you just can't get enough of those creepy little things, and you make a YouTube channel and a podcast around Furbies,
Own it.
you own it. And by owning it, like the whole community goes, this is the Furby guy, and they'll love you forever because it makes sense. But like if I were to do that,
It's like
what's
if you
Roman
grew a
doing?
Sequisha mustache,
Oh yeah.
I would tell you to shave it off. But like, I'm not gonna go do that to Sequisha. Like, that's his thing. He's owned that mustache.
Yes.
So it's like, it's definitely, it's like when you see people like they dress up as like other content creators trying to own that brand.
Okay.
You know right away, like that is not them. Like they're not being true to themselves. They're trying to emulate, and that's the biggest thing I've noticed with content creators is that they're constantly trying to emulate everyone else's formulas. Like they're not trying to explore new avenues of how to really show off their own content. You know, and it's hard. Like it feels, sometimes you feel like everyone's already done everything. So like, how do I own that? What I feel like is special to me. But even if it's something that's very similar to what another person does, you are able to put your own little spice on it because it's coming from you. It's true to who you are.
Yeah, and I think that like takes very well with people. Like when you're authentic, you're genuine, like people can tell when you're being fake or if you're not enjoying a game. Like you can tell when a streamer's not having a good time even if they try to fake it. So, you know, staying authentic and finding the things that you're good at is going to attract viewers and make them want to stay, because the reason people watch a live stream is because they want to be connected. They want to talk to you. They want to feel like they know you, right? Like you're chilling in the living room playing video games.
To build on that specifically, I think it's very important to remember that you're creating content to go the distance with your community. You're trying to engage them on a long term. You're not there for the quick views. You want these people to continue to enjoy your content. So if you're genuine with them, if you give them something that is meaningful to you and real to you, then they're going to come back for you. At that point, the content that you're creating in terms of what you're playing or what you're doing, or if you're a creative broadcaster, they're less involved in that. They're still involved, but they're more involved in you as a person. And that way, the content you're creating, be it Furbies or whatever, you know, it makes sense to them because it makes sense to you.
Yeah, I have to echo what Loco said, just similar names. Basically, whenever somebody smells BS, it's incredibly obvious, regardless of whether that's YouTube or Twitch. You'll immediately be able to tell if you're being sold something, and you're being sold something because the person signed a contract, because they're being sold something and they actually believe in it, right? So this goes into everything, regardless of whether it's a video game that you're playing, or regardless of whether it's something you're being sponsored by. I think the really important thing that I always talk about with authenticity is not just the way you present yourself and always being consistent, but also is having a core set of principles and values you stick to. So I think, for example, if I'm going to go to you, Ben, it's probably about being excited, being inclusive, and being positive consistently throughout the entire thing. And as you say yourself, your entire goal is to make the world a better place, and you reflect that in the way that you make your content. So that is authentic to you. However, there are some other people where it's still different. So if you went ahead and took a look at Dr. Disrespect, his entire thing is competitive to the core, does not care for the other players, he's there to win. So that is authentic to who he is. Basically, keep that core set of principles and that core set of values, and if you can, particularly when it's something where you're carrying forward that idea of being inclusive, you're being somebody who can represent a community and can create and foster friendships, I'd say that carries really well into the business side of things, and that's where authenticity also really helps. If you stand in front of a company and you say hey, I want to go ahead and represent your product, if you're saying that and it's very clear you just want to be there for the money, that's not going to be as helpful as saying hey, I really believe in your product, this is fantastic, my viewer base has found some really fantastic stuff with this, it's helped with X, Y, and Z, all of this stuff helps. That's authenticity to me as well.
You said the word building friendships, and that's actually something I wanted to talk about. Every single one of us started this at zero, we had no following, anything like that. Have you found, while you've been making content, while you've been building community, how has that changed relationships in your life? Whether it's interpersonal relationships, and I'd also love for you to speak to, I guess, I don't know the right way to put this. What's it like to be the person on the other side of the screen? How has that part of your life changed? Instead of being the person who's consuming the content, the person who's producing it, how has that changed? What do you have to say about that? What are your thoughts?
I think it's a whole mix of things, right? On the one end of things, it's really something where you get thrown in the deep end and you're okay, content creation is hard, right? So you're going to sit there and you're going to realize, okay, bare minimum for most of us, it's probably a 10 to 12 hour grind, 5 or 6 days a week, and then you're okay, so this is a real job, right? That's the first realization I think will really hit you. On the other side of things, I think also the role of being a quote-unquote community manager really hits hard above all else, because let's say you run a Discord server and you have moderators there, and then you also have people in there. All of a sudden, all their drama, by extension, sort of becomes your drama too, right? So you're the father or mother of a little family. And that really, really does not necessarily help sometimes, because you just want to go ahead and get on and do all your work. But yeah, it becomes a lot more tense on that of things, because you're no longer responsible for just one person and one person's message. You're responsible as well for your community, and you are very much their leader, and you are the person who is their voice. You are their role model. You are someone that needs to act responsibly. So yeah, I'd say that's the kind of main emphasis of the responsibility.
Speaking to friendships, you quickly find out how you need to rely on those friendships while you're creating content. Your moderators, your regulars, the people who are there to support you no matter what you're playing. When you build those friendships and you're able to create great content and those relationships and those experiences with those people, and they come to support you, it does become, I think, considerably easier for you to be a broadcaster, to be the guy on the other side of the camera, to create the content and to focus on that. But there is that element where you do, by extension, feel that you need to be involved with their lives, and you are bringing in that drama, if there is any, into your own life. Managing that is difficult as a content creator, because you've got your own stuff as a human outside of content creation, right? You got a lot going on, you got a family, I'm a dad, a husband, I got kids running all over my house, it's insane, but I've got to manage that, and then I'm going to go broadcast over here, and then I've got to manage all of this. Now, fortunately, there's great people in the chat, like our moderators who we rely on and who handle things for us and who run out there and just get that shield up for you, right? And they help that intake of content for you. But being the person behind the camera, you quickly realize that, sometimes while I am in control of my channel, I'm going to have rely on those friendships and those people who believe in me to help me create the content I want to create. I think those are the people who are really out there flying that flag hard for you. That's why you're doing it, to have fun with those people, but of course to give them something memorable, and then to build those friendships and to go new exciting places every every day. When you're out there broadcasting, you get to go experience cool new things with those same friendships and create those experiences, and I think that's huge.
And speaking about content creation and its evolution, you know, it's more and more becoming not just a job, but it is your life, right? Like you always feel the need to be connected with everyone. Like everything you do is posted on social media. You know, you kind of lose that private life a lot, and that balance is very hard to maintain, because it's like, if I'm not sharing anything, then my audience doesn't know what I'm doing, and then I'm not growing and not staying connected, and it's like this vicious cycle. And I think as content creation, being, you know, whether you're a social media star, Instagram famous or something, like it's becoming tougher to just feel like you could just like have private time, because of how many people are doing this and how well people stay connected. So it's I think becoming a little bit dangerous, I think.
It's evolved a lot. I mean, like, we have so many tools in our toolbox now to engage with audience. But at the same time, saying like to have like we're expected to have Instagram stories and Instagram posts and to be active on Discord. Like we are supposed to be like I feel like we're expected to be connected 24/7, which, like you said, is scary. It's intrusive to almost to a certain degree, and I feel like that's something that content creators need to be careful of, and also audience, like your communities need to be mindful of. Is that your content creators do need a little bit of space. I mean, even though like it's great to have Discord, and it's great to have Instagram, and it's great to have Facebook and Twitch and Mixer, but at some point, like you do need that moment to just kind of just disconnect for a little bit.
Can we just basically talk for like another 10 minutes on work-life balance?
I mean, if we want to, I think that for everyone, I think every single one of us probably has a story about that trap, right?
Right.
The moment in our career where we went way too far, like way too hard, way too long, and like almost burned out or did burn out. I think that work-life balance is incredibly important. One of the tools that I use, because I produce a lot more content now than I used to, is like I like to schedule things out. I do things in chunks. Like I'll say, okay, like I have an hour and that's my pre-production time. I'll do my YouTube videos, my podcast, whatever. Or if I can do like mixed media, like I do my podcast live on Twitch so that people can watch and interact with that content live. That's kind of how I've learned to work my work-life balance into like a better place, because it used to be always on, right? Like my phone would buzz in the middle of the night at like 2 a.m. and I'd be like, oh, who tweeted? Like, grab it and then just go. And so I think to anyone who's wanting to get started, paying attention to that am I working too much? When is the right time for me to pull it back? Maybe make some content that goes out later and take some time for myself.
It's weird. I feel like it wasn't like that like 4 years ago. Like when I started streaming on Twitch, 4 years ago, I don't feel like we were expected to be as engaged and as connected as it is now. Like that, it really has evolved from 4 or 5 years ago. From when it was just like getting in front of on your stream, playing your game, and then you were kind of just done. You tweeted, you did a couple tweets, and like that was it. But now it's just like you need to be on every single platform, doing as much as possibly can. And like burnout is. I'm waiting for like that big burnout where like that one person's just kind of like this crazy, just flip a table moment, and I feel like that's when people are gonna start realizing that like even streamers need, or just content creators in general, need to have that balance.
Thank you for including me, Tim. You're welcome. On that note, though, I think YouTube has a really great tool for handling this, which is that you can schedule your uploads. Like, that has changed my entire life. The moment I found out I could do that, I was like, oh, so I could just make a ton of videos this week, take a week off, and actually have a break.
You take time off?
I can. That's why YouTube is actually amazing.
What?
I've done something right.
I wish I could schedule a live stream. I want to schedule a live stream so badly. Like, let me just do like a let me binge live stream just for like a week, and then cut it up, and then go take a month off. I wish
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
That'd be huge.
but we can't do that.
Well, optimizing your time is huge, and that's a pretty cool tool. Being able to put these things into a line where it makes sense, right? Like you said, doing your podcast and doing it live. Being able to optimize that to prevent that burnout. It's hard, man, but when you're expected to be on all these different social platforms, the burnouts, you're going to feel it, right? It's going to be there in the back of your mind. So you've got to take measures to help prevent that, or at least maybe blockade it just a little bit to give yourself some breathing room, which is why I always encourage people to at least take a day off, take some deep breaths, maybe. Just don't go hard all day long, broadcast a little bit, take the evening to yourself, maybe take some time, don't go onto social for a little bit, put the phone down. It's hard, man, when you got to be connected and see who's doing what, and you got to be ready for the next big thing. You just got to be able to disconnect, and understanding and learning how to do that well it's key to being successful, I think.
I think that managing, to Tim's point, one of the things that's changed the most is 4 years ago, there were a few information streams that you could pay attention to when you were making your content, and you would have all the information you needed for the next day. I don't know if a day goes by where I get on stream and someone's like, hey, do you know about this super important thing you should know about but don't know? And I'm like, how did I miss that? There's so much information coming at you, and to me that was overwhelming at the beginning, and I think that got me really, I was stuck on my phone all the time. And the thing about being stuck on my phone, making sure I didn't miss out on something, I wasn't gonna FOMO, that was driving all of my behavior, was you have to accept the fact that there's information you're going to miss, but you can make that part of the experience. You can learn it together. Oh, I used to be oh, I didn't know that, I'm such a moron, blah, blah, blah. Now it's oh, let's learn together. What is this? Teach me, chat. Or, and it becomes a community building moment. So if you find yourself, as you're growing as a content creator, and I think it's gonna be more important as things go forward, you need to accept the fact that there might be some things that you're going to miss, and you just have to try and catch as much as you can instead of trying to catch all of it, because all of it is overwhelming.
Yeah, I got to echo that as well. I think the biggest tip I could give to anyone at this moment in time is do not fear missing out. Because for the love of God, you cannot catch everything. It is impossible. To give you an idea, back in the day, 5 years ago, I did Guardian Radio every single week, and I still love those guys, we're still great. I only occasionally do the podcast now because that would mean that instead of having to stay up until 4 in the morning and go to bed at 6 in the morning, I now can go to bed at normal human being times. And that's no discredit to them because they're still a wonderful show, we're still great friends, but it's one of those things of I'm a human and I need to sleep. Yeah. So don't fear about missing out, seriously.
That's live streamers who do midnight releases. I don't miss doing midnight release streams anymore. That is the worst thing ever, is to make get on at midnight when the game releases and then stream for 12 hours.
I love it though.
You're dead.
And kill the security.
You're so dead by the end.
But it's still, it's Christmas morning.
Yeah,
I love this is an authentic conversation.
I'd rather have Christmas morning at 8 a.m. than not Christmas morning at midnight.
Yeah, for me, if I'm not online, I'm sitting in my bed, I'm sleeping right now. I'm totally I'm so asleep right now. But I like that feeling of getting up and feeling exhausted and whatever. And I like sharing those super tired moments and then the lethargy of the next couple of days with people, because I like that because I'm an excitable, weird guy.
I think that's an important point to realize. Each of us can give you our tips for how we maintain work-life balance, or what we like to do, what works and what doesn't, but ultimately, you're gonna have to look to yourself, figure out what works for you, what doesn't. For me, I need a day off once a week. Some people can stream every single day. For me, I stream 6 hours a day and I'm tired. Some people can go 12 hours a day and they're fine. So utilizing your strengths, recognizing your weaknesses, and figuring out ultimately what's going to work for you, because everyone's path is going to be different, and there's just so many ways to do content creation.
The idea of making sure that you operate in your strengths and you don't compare yourself, this person can stream 7 days a week, 18 hours a day, and then you just ignore the context of your own life. And it can lead you down a really dangerous path. You think, oh, well, this person can do it, so I should be able to do it too. But I'm not going to run a 100-meter dash like an Olympian. But sometimes, that is the mindset. We don't realize that our mentality is very similar to that. You have a certain amount of mental strength that you can handle every single day, and trying to push yourself beyond that, it's going to be damaging. It's not going to go well.
It's also being okay with understanding and knowing that you're not that person, right? Like,
Yeah,
you gotta be-
comparison is poison.
Yes, without question. I mean, you can spend all day taking a look at your own broadcast, going back and seeing how you did it, and then comparing yourself to another person who may be more successful or is doing something different. And you could look at that and be like, this is not working for me. I need to go do this, right? But then you're not being unique to yourself. And then in that moment, you are, like we were talking about before, potentially alienating part of your audience because they can tell that you're not loving it. This isn't who this person is. They're not being authentic to who they are. The content that they're creating isn't unique like it used to be. They don't have their own personal vibe and feel anymore. Kind of reminds me of this guy over here who's already doing that and apparently doing it better. So I'll just go watch that person, right? So it's all about taking that moment and making it your own.
Dude, I gotta say it, that happens so much in YouTube, and I really wish I could just like grab someone by the shoulders and shake them and be like, do you is fine, you is enough, you is more than enough.
You are okay with being you, right?
Yeah.
When you're okay being with you and being you who you are live in front of everybody who you broadcast to, you're gonna have a better time anyways, because you're not pretending. You're just being authentic, and those are the experiences that your viewership really wants to plug into. That uniqueness, that being able to reach out to whatever content you want to create, give those memories and experiences, I think is huge. Being able to connect that on a daily basis is hard, but we can do it as long as you're being unique and not trying to, don't copy. If that's something that you're struggling with, try and look forward and anticipate where you want to be, and then work towards that as a content creator. Yeah?
It's so incredibly important to stay grounded. So I think we've covered a lot. Still got plenty. We've got some time left, so we're not getting off stage yet. Don't worry. Or I'm sorry that we're not. If you're not enjoying this, I don't know where you're at. How you doing? Hey, chat. Let's get some pop champs.
They have names, they're not chat.
Yeah, their name. Well, no, there's people watching online as well.
Oh, okay,
live.
yeah, sure. Hi, chat.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get some what face for Bife. So going forward, like based off of the trends that you're seeing, what do you think someone who wants to get into content creation right now should start doing? Like if someone wants to leave Guardian Con right now and go home and get started, what would be the number one tip you have for them? And we'll just go down the line.
I would say step one, brainstorm, have a game plan. Don't just, wing it and do whatever. Like figure out like what you want to do, like what kind of content you want to create. We started with, Twitch got so popular on video games, and that's expanded from that. Live streaming is more than just video games. And I think a lot of people just see like the obvious thing and then just go for that. But I think there's so many different avenues of content creation, and there's just so much cool stuff that you can share that you're probably doing that's unique to someone else. So, take some time to actually brainstorm, create a game plan, and go from there.
That's huge. That's super great. Being able to make that plan and go forward with it and to charge ahead and be excited about it. Having that preparation, that's super big. I think you need to inspect the different platforms that you think may be right for you. Take a look, see what's out there. I can speak to the Mixer side of things. Understand that it's a forward-thinking, very technology-forward, exciting new iterations, innovative platform, and being able to create content in a way that's meaningful. Taking those cool new tools and exciting new iterations that are showing up almost weekly now, just cool new exciting things. Taking those, learning them, understanding how they work, and then utilizing them to great effect, you're going to be able to forge an exciting new path forward in terms of being a new broadcaster. There's a lot of interesting things that are just waiting for you to grab a hold of. I think if you can take a look, read the documentation, get experience with it, maybe play with it offline a little bit, I think in that way you're preparing yourself and you're getting that roadmap forward.
I think for me, I really get tired of people that tell me that they're thinking about streaming or they're thinking about making content. It's like, hey, I've been thinking about doing this for a while. It's like, well, then just do it. You really need to stop. Yeah, you just do it. Like, no, really. Like you're wasting so much potential you're wasting all this potential energy and all this time about thinking about doing it and then just doing it. So even if it's intimidating and you're not sure on what you want to do or how you want to do it and how do you want to achieve those goals, just getting into it and getting your foot in the door, I think is a lot better than just sitting in the background and just watching and constantly thinking about it, because you're just wasting lots and lots of time.
I think there's a really great quote from CNANers on this, which I messed up on the podcast, but I'm going to get it right now. The pursuit of the perfection is more important than the perfection itself. Okay? When you're making content, no matter what it ends up being.
I like that.
This guy, I can't even.
was
Like,
really
a round of
good.
applause. That's a great quote. Can you say that one more time?
The pursuit of the perfection is more important than perfection itself. And CNANers, if you're out there and you see this, I love you, homie. But anyway, no, point is this, right? Everyone will try and make a piece of content, whether it's a stream or whether it's a YouTube video, and they'll be like, okay, great, I'm gonna start like this, and I'm gonna be all professional, I won't start until I have all my ducks in a row. And the reality is, dude, that's just not how life works, you know? That's not how things work out. So if you are in a place where you can just hit the go live button, if you're in a place where you can hit the upload button to YouTube, do it. Like, I understand that sometimes there are minimum requirements of quality. Yes, you should go ahead and try and meet those, but you should not aim for perfection on your first time, because for the love of God, I've been doing this for 7 years and nothing I've made is perfect. Not the most heavily edited thing, not the most heavily scripted thing, nothing I've made is perfect. But at the end of the day, everything has taught me a lesson. And those lessons are far more important than getting a perfect video every time, because a perfect video teaches you nothing. A video where you make a mistake, you'll be like, okay, I'll get the sound balance right next time. Okay, I'll make sure I edit the video properly next time. Those are the things you want to do, because that is the path to becoming a better creator.
It's a fun journey, because it's not just a journey for you, but it's also a journey for your community and for your fans. They get to watch you evolve and how you create this content in different ways. You're learning how to interact with them and engage with them. So,
And it feels authentic.
it does. Again, authenticity.
I think one of the biggest cautions I give people is they'll sit there and they'll spend 25, 50, 60 hours making sure they have like the most professional looking stream in the world, and then like sometimes I feel like that has this blowback effect, right? Like someone tunes in, they're like, yo, this looks nice, super professional, where is everyone? Guess this person's garbage, bye. Right? And I mean, like, I'm not kidding, I've watched it happen.
Dude, look at how Crafty started. Started streaming from his PS4, and he was just really, really good at the game.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he became a professional streamer because he started that way.
Yeah, I think that starting with what you have matters a lot. And that's not me telling you that you shouldn't make things look awesome. If that's who you are, like if you're a graphic designer and all your stuff looks good, there's a story behind that, right? Someone asks a question like, yo, how come you have these really awesome overlays but no one's in chat? And you're like, oh, I love graphic design, like it's my favorite thing, I build all this stuff, it's my favorite, and then they're like, oh yeah, how long have you been doing it? And it becomes an interaction point, as opposed to, I bought it from so-and-so, and blah, 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 and I thought it looked cool. You know, it's authenticity, it's approaching things in a way that has storytelling that's true to who you are. And I think that's like incredibly important. So, I totally forgot what Loco said that I wanted to talk about. Right. So one of the biggest changes that has happened in the past year is when it comes to live streaming, you have options of where you can decide to place your content. How do you all feel that the rise of these options has changed the landscape for both people who are doing this professionally and people who are looking to approach it for the first time?
I love it. I think it's, as for someone who switched to another platform, having that opportunity is huge. But knowing, for someone who's thinking about starting live streaming, or even just using Facebook as a way to upload VODs, knowing that they have somewhere else to go, and not having to deal with that, the overload of people that are on one platform. All these streamers, there's so many people that are streaming on Twitch, but now knowing that there are other options like going to Mixer or coming to Facebook, it's not as saturated. You know, there's so much saturation on Twitch, unfortunately, because that's what it's known for. It's known for video game live streaming, and so everyone wants to live stream video games. Like it's
the first stop.
Yeah,
it's mentally where you go first.
Most definitely, but knowing that there's other places where you can go that your content can live, I think it's fantastic. And what's nice is competition breeds innovation. And so having these other players on the field is just going to make everyone better.
Yeah, one of the first things that happened, that has been something that people on Twitch have been saying for since its inception. Discoverability needs to change, and just this week they launched a new front page that is totally different. It shows you like recommended stuff, like an algorithm, like YouTube has. So it'll say, oh hey, you like so and so. Well, here's a streamer with 1,000 viewers, and here's a streamer with 2 viewers, and here's a streamer with 50 viewers, and they're all streaming the same game, or they might have the same style. The delivery is a little wonky. I think the algorithm is still teaching itself.
Yeah.
Because everything's AI, and it's going to get you. That was a joke. That's fine. I'll be up here all day
Laugh, Chad, laugh.
I'll be up here telling bad jokes all day. You're gonna have to get used to it. But okay, so obviously newer platforms like Facebook, there's a lot of centralization. You can put all of your content right there. It packs a big punch. And Facebook's also an ad platform.
They know how to deliver. Like that's what they do. Like they're the world's largest ad delivery system in the world. So being able to take that system and now just deliver gaming content, they know your behaviors. They know, hey, I really like Kingdom Hearts. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm posting about Kingdom Hearts, I'm in Kingdom Hearts groups. Well then why don't I just give you Kingdom Hearts streams, or Kingdom Hearts videos, or Kingdom Hearts memes, or anything like that. So that's what they're trying to do right now, that's what they're perfecting, is trying to make sure that the meaningful content that you are invested in, that you care about, that you're always going to get. And so that's awesome for a really small streamer who, like, let's say only does speed runs, like how you started, Ben. You did speed runs. And so having a platform where it's focused on, okay, I only do speed runs, now I can engage with an audience who only likes watching speed runs. And that's great for small streamers, someone who doesn't want to just play the hottest game like Fortnite or PUBG. Like, what if I want to play Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever and speed run that? Well, then now you have that ability to do something like that.
These multiple platforms coming up for live streaming is really good for streamers that are just starting out. Getting started on Twitch is very daunting. There's a lot of competition. It's hard to get noticed when you start out. These other platforms, being able to stream to multiple platforms at the same time, if you're just starting out streaming, you want to get yourself out there as much as possible. So being able to do one stream and go out to multiple different platforms at the same time is super powerful, and definitely a tool that I recommend using if you're just starting out.
I think the one caveat to that though is it's not spreading yourself too thin. That's the one thing with Restream.io is like it gives you the platform to distribute all over the place, but you get to a point where you're not focusing on one area, and I feel like you might lose out. So people need to see like where does my content stick, and then focus on that area where it actually makes sense.
There's definitely a balance to be had, right? If you're broadcasting to 5 different sites and you're only reading chat from one, then like everyone else is kind of confused. I think like Mixer is getting a lot of popularity. It's growing. The viewership numbers are growing. It's a good time to get in, and Facebook as well. And you're seeing a lot more streamers using these platforms, streaming to Facebook and Mixer, or doing like a Facebook stream then a Mixer stream.
Absolutely. Having these different options is going to create a lot of great experiences for new viewership too. So as a broadcaster wanting to dig into Facebook, wanting to dig into Mixer, wanting to dig into Twitch or YouTube, there's different discoverability options that each platform is working on, which is great iterations, like you said, innovation and diversity, showing up in new ways every day, which is awesome. But it's also going to give those viewers better options too, and they're going to be able to find what they want to see, and you're going to be able to create the content that you want to create. Like for instance on Mixer, there's an up and coming section. So for broadcasters who are just joining in, who are just arriving there on the platform, they're being showcased on the main page. You can see that content right away. You can dive right into somebody who you know is starting their streaming journey right there. And you can start from the beginning with them and have those cool, fun experiences that we've been talking about right from the beginning in that person's broadcast. I think having these multiple options is awesome, and it's a great way to innovate in the future for broadcasting too. It's going to encourage each one of these different platforms to do exciting things as well. So as far as broadcasters go, we're winning out in that every platform wants to create something that's memorable and something that's innovative and something that's exciting and something you can only experience there, which is, I think, huge. Up until a couple of years ago, like as you said, Twitch, that was it. Now there's Facebook, now there's YouTube, now there's Mixer.
So one of the things that Mixer does that's unique, since we talked about Facebook being a great ad delivery platform, one of the things that Mixer does that's unique is you have a site-wide chat currency called Sparks.
Yes.
And people can use these to interact with the content that is being produced in front of them, whether it's taking control of a controller or things like that. I would love to know your thoughts about implementing something like that. How does that help someone make incredibly unique content?
I think it allows them to create the unique content that they want to create on a personal level. I'll give you an example for my broadcast. When I run my interactive board and people can utilize those buttons to do cool stuff, sometimes it just plays a sound, sometimes it just does something funny on the screen, or maybe it'll give them an ability that they didn't have in chat before, like they are now part of this little mini game that's happening in my chat or something. It's all sorts of exciting ways that you can customize the experience on your channel to you, which will speak to you as a broadcaster. So people are going to get a better idea of who you are just by taking a look at this interactive element that you put on there using those sparks. Those sparks you gain currency continually simply by watching broadcasts and participating in those broadcasts. It's pretty neat, and it's an exciting way to be able to give people something interactive to do
It's
while
a different approach.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in terms of live streaming, I think what Mixer's doing with that interactivity is kind of the next step of live streaming, right? Like being able to influence the game or the stream and other people being able to play around with it. Like that's what everyone, that's kind of why we get into it, right?
Yes,
you want to connect with the streamer. That's just another way of doing it.
Yeah, being on the forefront of that, I think creating those interactive elements with the Sparks is a way that they're creating that exciting individual experience that you're only going to get there.
Something that game developers, to go on that side of things, have been working on is there's been a lot of kind of light passes, like indie games, that have made these fully interactive chat games. Whether you're spawning robots in an arena and everybody in chat's trying to massacre the streamer.
Vermintide 2.
Yeah, and then I was getting there. Yeah. So and then we've most recently seen Vermintide 2, where you can give chat control of spawning everything. You can they can spawn a mini boss at you every 30 seconds, and it's just horrible. And then you get this really antagonistic relationship going on. It takes everything to the next level, and I think that is something going forward. You're going to see a lot more like that. So if you're out there and you're making content, planning ahead and thinking how am I going to use interactive features that are coming out of games?
The exciting thing with interactive is the developers are finding new, interesting ways to utilize that all the time. One of my favorite interactive experiences is Death's Door game in Mixer. It's like a dungeon crawling, exciting experience where you level up your characters live on stream using interactive elements, and everybody gets to take part of it, vote on what happens, go down a different path every time. It's insane. I love that developers are digging into the interactive elements and be able to create new fun games, new ways to play. For viewership, for people who just want to kick back and watch what happens. That's cool too. You still have that option. You don't have to interact, but the option's there.
It's turning chat into the couch where you all sat and played video games when you were younger, right?
Exactly. Bingo. It's recreating that Saturday morning experience of passing the controller around. It's actually happening.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's no such thing as a good panel without a weird, awkward pause. So we're talking about a lot of the things that are being done that's new and innovative and things like that. But Loco and I both stream on Twitch, and we've been talking about a lot of interesting things that are happening elsewhere. But I want to talk just for a little bit, there is definitely an advantage to streaming on Twitch. There's an advantage to all these platforms, and that's one of the big reasons why we wanted to come up here and do this panel, was because I think personally, and we definitely think here at GuardianCon, that we want to embrace content creators from every side of the internet. That's why we had fundraising efforts from everyone on this stage on their platforms to raise money for St. Jude this year. And one of the biggest advantages of Twitch, like we were talking about, is it is the first place that people think to come and find you. Yes, it's hyper competitive and there's a lot of people streaming there, but I think one of the biggest advantages that Twitch has is that they are there. And as long as they can continue to maintain this market influence and wield it correctly, it's going to be a great place for you to put your content now and for a long time going forward. I don't think that any single, just like television stations, right? I don't think that any single one of these platforms is going to be, the #1 platform for forever. I think everything it's gonna be like, you remember when CBS was like the place to go to watch comedies, and now you're like, I'm gonna watch Fox or whatever. I think that as these platforms continue to build out, their stables of creators and develop their own flavor, whether it's with interactivity, hyper-targeting, and delivering persistent content, or just being the place where people go to watch video games, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, just look at how the space has changed in the last 10 years. You had Justin TV that was just like people illegally restreaming everything. And then you had Twitch come out of that, which was all about video games.
I used to love to watch YouTube way back in the day because I wasn't allowed to watch Saturday Night Live, but I could always catch the bootleg version of it on YouTube the next day.
Like UFC fights were on Justin, so it was great.
Yeah, and then Twitch became about video games, and now it's becoming way more than video games. And for a while, it was just Twitch, and now you have Mixer and Facebook, and you can, say like these are actually very viable platforms that people are moving to. So, the space has changed so much, and you can never say like, oh, it's just Twitch has got it in the bag, like it's all about Twitch, because it's definitely not anymore.
But it's funny though, because 4 years ago, if you would say that people are going to leave Twitch to go somewhere else, you'd laugh at them. You're like, there's no way. What are you gonna go to? You're gonna go to Hitbox?
Hitbox,
Come on, dude, it's not Clubhouse. But now, like, it's a very serious thing. Like, it's like they are real competitors in the space, and that's just again showing the evolution of like how this has changed. Like, content creators are now just not being seen as content creators; they're almost being seen as like athletes and being traded and being moved around because it's just our worth is actually being seen now. We're not just the guys who are just streaming video games. We are actually like real business assets to these companies.
A content creation platform does not succeed without content creators. Right. Which is, everyone in the audience you're making content on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere, all the time. And like every single platform we participate on, you're an active participant, you're building value on that platform just by being there. We have about 3 minutes left, so I would love if any of you have like a final thought you'd like to give everybody. We can just go down the line, or we can awkwardly stare at each other.
I want to start with like a question. How many of you guys stream?
Hey.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. I guess final thoughts. The biggest thing I would say is always look to the future. Look at how streaming or content creation is evolving. Try to think ahead. Don't just try to, stay at pace with what everyone's doing, because by the time you catch up, like streaming or whatever type of content creation you're doing is in a different place. So try to think of where content creation is going and not where it is right now, because you could be at the forefront of something new.
2 quick things for me. Number 1 is please try to have your own brand of positivity. Not everyone is the super happy, exciting kind of person. Maybe your brand of positivity is super low key, but always do your very best to lift each other up, to be the best person in someone else's day just because you were nice to them. Be the person that they remember treating them kindly. You don't want to be the person that puts the bad thought in their head. And secondly, if you have any questions for me, happy to be around, talk with you over there. Make sure that when you're talking to people here, you take that encouragement, that excitement, and share it with them, and encourage them. If there's a new broadcaster who you are, talking with, give them that encouragement and be there for them and support one another, because I think that's how you're going to succeed, and that's how you're going to get ahead.
For me, I think a lot of awesome things were covered. If you ever want to deep dive into other things, you should go check out Ask Broman, which is Broman's podcast.
Hell yeah, you're here on that.
I watch it all the time.
I've had the pleasure of being able to be a guest on Ben's podcast, and if you he's covered the entire gamut of all things. Yeah, no, but honestly, if you guys ever if you commute to work or whatever, download the podcast, and there are so many episodes that are really useful when it comes to answering questions like this, talking about how the space is changing, or being able to hear your peers, these other streamers that have these questions. Make sure to check out this podcast.
It's really good for new streamers in particular too, so we're going to all you guys out there. YouTube, yeah, woo! We still exist. No, I think my one final tip that I'd give to everybody is this: don't be afraid of dreaming big. Be realistic about it sometimes, but when you dream big, acknowledge alongside it one simple thing: my dreams will sometimes fail. 2 years into YouTube, my channel was dead. Right? With your big dreams, take that failure, learn from the failure, build on your your channel, build on whatever you're doing, and then use that failure to push forward, because the failure teaches you how to attain those dreams. When your dreams fail, you don't stop. You keep going, keep pushing for the dreams. Use the lessons you've learned. Failure is good.
I love Pipe. Thank you all very much.
Thank you guys.
So
Thank you for joining us for the panel. We're going to throw it back. We're going to throw it back over to our shoutcasting booth, and we're going to get ready for the next things happening on the main stage, which I believe is the Realm Royale Charity Blitz. Tim.
Excitement. Magoo.
Welcome back, everyone. That panel was interesting. I was sitting in there trying